hello, hello, hello. It's Dina. Hope your day is going well. Today I would like to make a video about how to make a change in your life. What does it take if you want to change a habit or a belief or an attitude? What does it take? Now you might say, Dina, a habit is not the same thing as a belief. Are you sure? What I would say to you is that the brain works on a series of pathways. And the habits, the things that you do quite often, imagine that you've made a path to the outhouse, or you've made a path to someplace in your life, to your car across the grass, or something like that. Every time you take that path, you're reinforcing it. You're treading down the grass. You're making it so it's very easy to get from A to B in this straight line, which is already, of course, the easiest path of least resistance, right? But now you've taken that straight line and you've started removing the obstacles. Literally, the grass will die if you have the same path every day, or if many people take the same shortcut path, right? This is what belief is. Belief is thinking the same thing often enough without challenge. After you've challenged your beliefs enough, then you continue to confront life with what you have learned. Your belief structure is in place. This is why it's very important to challenge your belief structures about everything. Take a look at Fear Less, Live More 222. He talks about programming on a few of his videos and habits of this kind. This is exactly why your belief structures get reinforced every time you don't question them or try to take a slightly different path around. That could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's what is. All right. So if you really want to change something, what do you have to do? There was a psychologist who was doing a lot of work between the 50s and the 70s. His name was Carl Rogers. And if you have not researched him, if you are anywhere near the psychology or fields of sociology or negotiation or rhetoric, and you have not read enough of Carl Rogers, you should stop right now at 3 minutes 33, and you should run out and go read everything you can that Carl Rogers has written. Excuse me. So he identified the things that a person needs to change. It's not enough that you want to. It's not enough that you have a goal and a dream. What you've got to do is you've got to have that desire to change. That is number one. There's an old joke that we told in psychology, and it was, how many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb? It only takes one, but the light bulb has to really want to be changed. So yeah, the desire is important. The desire is the first step, right? Maybe that's true. But what you then have to have is you have to have new good habits to take the place of the old things. They have to satisfy the needs or the desires that you are currently having for the things that you have the desires that you're doing the action to fulfill, whatever I don't know where that went. You got to have habits to replace the ones you're trying to change that fulfill you in the same kinds of ways. Now, here's the tricky part. Oh, my nose is really runny today. Sorry, pollen or something. The tricky part is that there's not just one thing you'll have to replace. So let's take a look at something like if you wanted to give up, say, let's do this one. King Explicit is going on a diet. So let's talk about dieting. Let's talk about what you need in order to successfully change your habits. Right? Okay. So number one, you want the desire to change. That's great. Number two, you have to have new good habits to replace what you're getting from the old one. So you say, okay, well, I just have to, have other food that replaces food I'm currently eating, and that'll be enough. Honey, no. Because that's not the only thing food gives you. It's not the only thing you're using food for. So you got to figure out, why am I doing this? What am I using it for? Okay, in the case of food, a person might be using it when they're bored. They just got nothing else to do, so they pick up something. It might be ease of access. You might have a hand-to-mouth fixation. Nom, 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 nom. If you've ever bit your fingernails, or like I pick at my lips, Freud called that an oral fixation, but it's also a hand-mouth. It's a comforting thing. It makes us comfortable. That's so, I'm relaxed. Okay. Feeling full gives us a sense of fullness and happiness and contentment. If you're eating higher fat foods or starchy foods that are filling you up, especially later in the afternoon, or things like ice cream, if you find yourself relying on very fatty foods, if you're a woman especially and you wake up very hot in the night, you're getting too much fat in your diet. Probably before bed, milk, dairy, breads, cheese, ice cream, fats. Stop having the thought flashes, cut out more of the fats. But it gives us a sense of fullness. It makes us feel good before we go to bed, and warm and loved, and yummy, cuddly, snuggly. I can sleep better now. You want to go on a diet, but you currently use food for your feelings of comfort and warmth before you go to sleep? Good luck. You got to find other things that fulfill all of those needs. Let me give you a good one about smoking. When I was in graduate school at Syracuse, I was in a class with only 6 people in it. It was a graduate class, a very small class, and the instructor smoked. I was the only person in class who did not smoke, and I'm highly sensitive, so the smoke really bothers me. What would happen is during class, they would have the break. We would all leave the room. I would be looking for somebody to go to the store with to grab a Coke or something. But no, everybody is gathered around our professor, waiting for pearls of wisdom to drop from his mouth, as they often did. Sitting, standing around, having a cigarette. Everybody's smoking. If any one of those people at that time was trying to quit smoking, I would say, good the hell luck. Because I almost took it up, just so I could spend time with the rest of them. They would move, for the conversation it wouldn't stop, it would just move outside. After they'd had their smoke break, They would come back inside. The conversation would be continuing exactly where they were, not where we had left it when the class stopped for us to have a break. Smoking is creating a social bond in many situations. And it's one of the things I think Ivo Artur says. He says, if you're going to give up bad habits, you're going to be a lonely fucking person for a while. You are going to have to find people who are also in alignment with you, or in alignment with God, and in alignment with what they want to be their highest self. And that's why, to me, Hope Crew, we're here, is we all want to be versions of our highest self. So maybe we'll find a tribe on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Shake it until it falls out. Yeah. But you can't. You got to find. I had to just go hang out with them. It didn't matter if I smoked or not. I realized, I started saying, oh, shit, I'm going to have to take something to do while they're outside. I find myself cursing more when I'm thinking about Syracuse. In New York, it was F this and F this every fifth or sixth word from everybody at that time. It was really weird. In the 2000s. Okay. So you got to have things that take the place of those things, or either you've just got to deal with the fact, I've got to be around smokers. How am I going to handle that? If I'm trying to quit smoking, but there is a pressure that my social group is getting together and hanging out around a cigarette, don't blame yourself that it's so hard to quit. It does a lot. Okay, so you don't just need the desire to change. You need a good environment to change in, and something to replace those things that you're getting, your needs that are getting met with those things. There has to be a way to get those needs met in another way or other ways. Fortunately, as long as you figure out of all of those things, you're okay. Now, when you miss one, you'll fall back. You have to forgive yourself and say, shoot, you know what? I thought this was what smoking was about to me, but in fact, it's not. I thought this was what losing weight was about to me, but it turns out it's not. You'll fail. You'll hit a wall. But when you hit that wall, you've got to have forgiveness for yourself, because what you have just done is tremendously important. And the most amazing thing you as a human have the opportunity to do, and that is analyze and recognize so that now you can change. Once you say, oh, I had a cigarette today at lunch. Oh, I overate today. I shouldn't have had those extra calories before bed. Why did I do that? Once you can analyze something, now you figure out why you did it. Now you can say, okay, here's what I'm going to do differently next time. Will that satisfy all of the needs that this is currently satisfying, all of the desires this is currently satisfying? Okay, check. Let me try it again. It's okay to fail, because failing teaches you. It's what you do after you fail, right? You got to get that up that second time. That is the third thing you need, is the environment, the safe environment for change. And if you are living in an environment that does not allow you to safely change, good luck. All I can say is forgive yourself a lot. Be willing to forgive yourself a lot, and be willing to try to figure out every time what the environment was that made it unsafe. And that might be 100 things, or it might be one person. It might be one thing in your life that you don't want to cut off from yourself. But just recognize you might need to find a negotiated change. If you're in a situation where you're in an abusive relationship that you know is abusive, you tell yourself, I can handle it, I don't have any kids, whatever. You know what? You're living a negotiated peace. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can really make some changes so that you have more of a negotiated peace. Get what I'm saying? The environment has to be safe. You have to have a spouse that's not pushing you to have a cigarette. A spouse that's not saying, honey, let's stop at McDonald's. Oh, no, well, McDonald's is not the worst. That's a dieting video to make. I have successfully lost weight many times, usually about 30 pounds at a time is what I usually do. I've done as much as 60 at one time over. I lose about 5 pounds every 2 weeks, 2.5 pounds a week. That has nothing to do with this. So, so you can't have somebody. My old dieting partner, his wife would never get on board. And she was constantly keeping little bags of candy bars around the house. And she would even look for the ones that he liked the most. That's when you know you're living in an unsafe space. You are not living with a person who is encouraging you to be at your highest self and make your best changes. So that may be thing number one you want to think about changing. The last thing you need is time and repetition. You got to give yourself time. You got to give yourself time to do the new things instead of the old things, to remember to do the new things, to forget to do the new things and do the old things, and then that makes you do this and that makes you do this, and oh crap, here we are again. That's got to be okay. Change doesn't happen overnight. You didn't get here overnight. You got here from a series of events that led you to where you are now, and a pathway that you walked over and over and over again. What you got to do now is put the barricade in front of the pathway by positioning a different pathway so that before you get to that place, before you're stressed out, before it is dinner time, before you are out at a restaurant without any food in your pocket with your friends, you got to say, oh, there's a path I can take here. Okay, so if you got to get to McDonald's, let's say you're out and about, you're on a diet and you got to get to McDonald's. A basic cheeseburger and a side salad. One of the cheapest, best hamburgers you'll ever have in your life. If you get rid of probably one of the buns, whichever bun doesn't have anything on it, just get rid of that one. It's usually the bottom bun. Get rid of that one and put all those veggies in there and eat all those veggies, and you're going to come up less than about 400 calories. And if you're a woman and you're trying to hit 1,200 calories, no more than 1,200 a day for a gradual weight loss, or 1,000, 400 calories is a meal. Don't get the French fries. You can make McDonald's work. You can find negotiated pathways if you know what you're likely to do in the first place. If you know why you're breaking your habits, why you're not able to change, why you're continually hitting up against a wall. If you figure that out, you can build in. Don't just keep hitting the same old ways and saying, damn, I'm a bad person. I can't diet. I never make it work. I can't do this. I can't do that. You can. What you will. All right? So, I'm at 20 minutes, for Pete's sake. All right, but this is a big video. This is the one I'm going to keep talking about in other videos about change. And so it was important here to say all the things. And so Carl Rogers, go check him out. He was a great negotiator. He negotiated the last peace between Israel and Egypt, I believe. And they were Time Magazine's Man of the Year. They shared it that year because of his negotiating skills on their table. So he knows what it takes to change. He was a psychologist for many, many years. And if you follow his practices and his principles, 4 things: desire to change, a habit to replace every little need and desire that you're getting from the thing you're trying to change, not do anymore or do, a safe environment that allows you to change. Now all you need is the time and the repetition. And it's that simple. But look how complicated it is. And so please forgive yourselves. Please learn. Please take some forgiveness in your heart for yourself if you're trying something new. Make a good strategy. Be peaceful. All right? I'm out of here. Mom would do this. I say, be free.